Hi everybody, it's Kris Hicks, Head of Press and Communications at UKIP. I'm joined once again with Carl Benjamin, UKIP member. We're discussing the issues of the day. The next one is another academic who's been attacked effectively for giving a speech, giving a lecture. Julie Bindel was giving a speech at Edinburgh University, and it caused a lot of problems, both for her. It's sent the media quite wild up there. They've had an entire LGBT organisation, the official one, I understand, of Edinburgh University, quit en masse with this woman speaking.
Just because of the event, wasn't it?
Right, yeah, because of this event. So, I mean, what is it about this Julie Bindel that seems to strike the ire of so many of these people?
Julie Bindel is quite a famous person in feminist circles, in the same sort of way that Germaine Greer is. She's a feminist academic and a gender essentialist, which to most people just means that she believes there is a connection between sex and gender. So your sex is the biological makeup of your body, your XY chromosomes or XX chromosomes, or a combination thereof in sort of the fringe anomalous cases. And Julie Bindel believes that gender roles such as man and woman are informed directly by this biological reality. In this regard, she is in uniform agreement with almost all of the population of the world. Most people believe something like that because it appears to be the evidence of our own eyes. Right. You know, people who are biologically male grow up into men, people who are biologically female grow up into women, and the exceptions to this rule are less than 1% of the world's population, so that would seem to be a general rule of thumb that is accurate. This makes her, in the radical intersectional conception of gender and biology, a TERF, a trans-exclusionary radical feminist, because while Julie Bindel is a radical feminist, she does not believe that men can become women and women can become men, and so she does not agree that transgenderism is a thing, really. She considers a man who essentially dresses up as a woman, has hormone treatments and surgeries, to still be a man because of an essential biological component. And that's the crux of the disagreement between Julie Bindel, the sort of second wave, or, you know, I don't know, probably we'd call it second wave, sort of like old school feminists, the sort of rabid man-hating types. And I mean, Julie Bindel's like a political lesbian. she's a lesbian for political reasons. I think, anyway. I might have to check that actually, but she's definitely a lesbian. With those sort of, the Germaine Greers, Julie Bindels of the world, and the new intersectional blank slaters, who frankly are in control of everything these days, it's quite shocking how far these things are going. And this actually brings us into the conflict with Jess Phillips and the chap in charge of the school in Birmingham Yardley and the Muslim mums and protesters who are saying, well, look, you're teaching this LGBT stuff to our kids. We don't want that. Well, I'm not surprised. Islam, they're ideologically Muslim, and this is another ideology, and it has a different view on gender to the Islamic conception of gender, which is biologically essentialist. And so even though the issue is in the Birmingham schools is we don't want our kids being taught that same-sex marriage is okay at 5 years old, which, I mean, I completely agree with on that one issue. I don't think kids need to know about this when they're 5. The greater issue stems from a difference in worldview regarding gender, and this is coming into conflict. And it seems that, frankly, our ruling classes have decided that gender has nothing to do with sex, and therefore, and that's just not what most people believe. And I think that you're never really going to get everyone to believe that's the case, because the evidence of their own eyes would suggest otherwise.
Well, I think, these kinds of things that are being pushed right now, what we're seeing as well is the change in the language in terms of how this is enforced. So obviously we've had the state, we've had the official organs of society saying, no, these are our facts, you must believe this. But now we're seeing an increasing level from various activists of very violent, violent actions, violent attempts, only very violent language, let's say, that's being used as well.
Aggressive language.
Extremely aggressive language.
In fact, can I give you an example of
Please do.
Of what the activist was yelling at her? I'm not going to say the swear words, but you'll know what I mean when I say them. Julie Bindel said he was shouting and ranting and raving, "You're an effing C, you're an effing bitch, you're an effing TERF," and the rest of it. So entirely ideological possession, as Jordan Peterson would describe it. It's, they're just parroting, and it's unbelievably hateful. Unbelievably hateful. I mean, they are treating them as an existential threat. And there was also Twitter commentary, obviously, that was included in this article. And I think this is just worth quoting, because it gives you an impression of the level of vitriol that's coming out of this community, although I can't actually find it now I've said that. Here we go. Any trans allies at #PrideLondon right now need to step the F up and take out the TERF trash. Get in their faces, make them afraid, debate never works, so F them up. Well, I would suggest that that's a threat of violence. I mean, I started my career on YouTube laughing at people like Julie Bindel for being radical man-hating feminists. However, I would never suggest that anyone has the right to touch her or hurt her or anything like that, or not listen to what she says, deplatform her, anything like that. If she's been invited somewhere, we should hear her speak and then challenge her ideas. And I think the reason they say debate never works is because they don't have anything that's really valid on their side of the argument.
Right, yeah, they're saying, it never works. Yeah, we never convince anyone that we're right, basically. So forget that, and get your knuckle dusters out, basically. Yeah, it's but it scares me how these people actually feel that they're able to do this very openly, not just send these messages, but attack people with this ideological possession. I mean, this isn't something you're just talking about that you've read about. This is something you've confronted many times. I've seen you being shouted at as though, you're some kind of ideological entity, some monster in front of them.
It's very much. I've been thinking about this a lot. What the media's been doing to people. It's effectively the same as what they did in 1984 with Emmanuel Goldstein. It's the 2 minutes of hate, and we saw this with the. We should probably talk about this in a different clip, actually. But the lady in London yelling at the Trump supporter, "You're an effing Nazi, Nazi scum," and stuff like this. And it's just like, you don't know this guy. Yeah. You don't know anything about Nazis. You don't know anything about any of this, and you work for the NHS. Yeah. You're a little middle class fat woman. Go home.
Well, again, on the campaign trail, I mean, you said to people, it's like, well, you don't know me. All you know is like 3 headlines. Yeah. I'm 3 headlines, and then you've taken your time out of your clearly not very busy life to come down and shout in my face, based on a few headlines. I mean, really. But what concerns me is how confident these people are in their just rank ignorance and anger.
Well, it's the moral righteousness of it, isn't it? It's like they're on a personal crusade, and the infidel has to be destroyed. It's honestly quite terrifying, and I think the media is responsible for doing this. I think the media is. I mean, you get a lot of this on online echo chambers, but everyone does that. But the media is encouraging these people to do this sort of stuff, and there's no way to hold them accountable. So really, I don't even know what we can do about this, frankly.
Well, I think one of the things we can do, obviously, is that when we're on the media, we call this out. So one of the worst things I think the media has been doing, and this is something I brought up in an interview on the campaign trail, is just the clumsy use of this phrase, far right. Yeah. I mean, I know people, good, decent people, who are having their lives ruined because of this clumsy use of the term far right, and projecting that somehow people who just want Britain to leave the European Union effectively are a bunch of Nazis and mass thuggish criminals. It's an absurdity, but I think the media has failed to, because their clumsy usage of this, they've failed to protect the subjects they're talking about. It's the propaganda, the yellow journalism, it's got out of hand, and it's having real clear effects on the lives of people. And the media, we've got to tell the media this, and we've got to bring it up as many times as possible. And we say, look, you're stoking this up. You're part of the problem. Don't come at us with some kind of moral high ground. You have nothing to stand upon apart from, a throne of a throne. Sorry, do that again. But a pile of accusations, effectively. Yeah. That's all they have.
And like I said, the worst part is we've not got any real way of holding them accountable, because there are so many people who aren't really plugged into politics and the political life of the country, who just see the headlines and then carry on their day, and they don't think about it, they don't care. Yeah. And so they get away with it.
Sure. Every single day, and you see that then in elections, because they say, well, I can't vote for them, they're far right.
And the thing is, the media are well aware of their gatekeeping power as well, and they call it gatekeeping. They're well aware that they are the opinion setters in the country, and honestly, that's why we need to keep a free internet, frankly.
Absolutely.